So, good morning. Welcome to yoga. My name is Micki. And so, we're still in yoga in the park. Yay. A cool September morning here. So, go ahead and start in any comfortable position that works best for you. You can start out in constructive rest pose if you like. And that's just lying on your back with your knees tented together. You can walk your feet as wide as your mat. And allow your spine to cascade down onto the mat. You might exhale through the mouth, maybe making an audible sigh. And as you begin to arrive today, just allow yourself to come into the present moment, relaxing any thoughts of the past, releasing any plans for the future. And if you have a sense that you have an intention for your practice today, you can bring that intention to mind. And if you don't have an intention, that's okay. I have a suggestion if you'd like to take it. This month, we're studying Svadhyaya, which is called self-study. So this is the fourth of the niyamas. And in yoga, we have basically kind of like 10 commandments. There are 5 yamas, which are yoga's instructions on how we can best interact with the world. And then there are 5 niyamas, which are yoga's instructions on how we can best interact with ourselves. So Svadhyaya, which is self-study, means, well, here it says, I'm going to read something from the book by Deborah Adele. Svadhyaya, or self-study, is about knowing our true identity as divine and understanding the boxes we are wrapped in. This process of knowing ourselves, the boxes that adorn us, creates a pathway to freedom. The ability to shift our identification from our ego self to the witness, and finally, our true identity as divinity itself, is this joy of self-study. The world and others simply reflect back to us what we are seeing, not what is there. It is if wherever we look, there are only mirrors that show us pictures of ourselves. We cannot love or hate something about another person or the world unless it already exists inside of us first. The world gives you what you see. So if this idea of self-study, svadhyaya, speaks to you, you can use that as your intention for practice today. And just allow that intention to plant itself at your heart center. You might notice that it has a certain color, and then just allow that color to glow from your heart, filling your whole body. And with your inhales, you might notice it brighten. And then just take a moment to zoom out into the universe, seeing your glowing body resting on the earth. You might just start to cultivate gratitude for the ability to come together in this time and place, a time that is like no other that's come before and will never happen exactly the same way again. And then just go ahead and allow yourself to invite some gentle movements into your body. So you might begin to windshield wiper the knees from side to side, following the pace of your own breath, moving at your own time and in your own way. You might send your gaze in the opposite direction as your knees, feeling a gentle spiral of your spine. And then whenever you're ready, we'll come back to center, and you can extend your knees up towards the sky and your hands up towards the sky, and then lift your feet off of the mat so your shins are now parallel with the earth. You're in an upside down tabletop position. You can begin to draw your belly in towards your spine, pressing the low back towards the mat. You can stay right here, or if you'd like, we're gonna explore bird dog, the upside down bird dog. So with your next inhale, extend your right arm and your left leg long, and then exhale, draw it back to center. Inhale to reach the left arm and right leg long, and then exhale, bring it back to center. You can take a few rounds at your own pace. Remember, you're always welcome to change up the movements, modifying anything I suggest to meet your needs today. Take a few more rounds on each side, and when you feel complete from left to right and you're ready, you can extend your legs and arms long, finding a long body stretch. Reaching from your fingertips down to your toes. And then when you're ready, we'll wrap the knees once more towards the chest, and you can bring your hands behind the back of your thighs. And we'll begin to rock and roll up and down the length of your spine. And then when you're ready, you can rock up to a seat. And with your knees pointed up towards the sky, we'll allow the knees to fall over to the right. You can sweep your right hand behind you, press into the earth, and then reach the left arm up and overhead. Inhale, we'll sweep the knees and arms back to center and around to the left. Plant your left hand behind you. Reach your right hand up and overhead. And go ahead and take a few more rounds like this. The next time your hand falls to the right, you could even press into the earth, lifting your hips and then lowering down. We'll travel over to the left. Press into the hand as you lift the hips. And just keep a smooth, steady breath. Finding what works best for you on your inhales and your exhales. Moving at your own pace. And go ahead and take one more round on each side. And then we'll meet up in center, taking your own time. You can find a comfortable cross-legged position. And then maybe you close down the eyes and just take a moment to tune into the breath. On your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart, finding a stretch through the neck and the upper back. And then on your next exhale, allow your right ear to rest over towards your right shoulder. You might find a nice stretch along the left side of your neck. Maybe you start to find a little movement here. Starting to nod your head yes. And then gently shake your head no. And then we'll come back to stillness. Take one more nice deep breath, and on your next exhale, you can allow your chin to trace the front of your chest, and then draw your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here, melting the shoulder away from the ear, finding that stretch along the right side of your neck. And then you can begin to gently nod your head yes. And then maybe finding stillness before you gently shake your head no. And then whenever you're ready, you can come back to stillness. And then we'll bow the head once more towards the heart. And when you're ready, you can lift your gaze back to center. We'll bring the hands to the heart center, and then you can interlace the hands and start to draw a few figure eights with the wrists, warming up through the wrists. You can send the wrist gratitude. You might hear some gentle, maybe not so gentle, snap, crackle, pops. And then you want to go ahead and reverse the direction of your figure eights. And then when you're ready, you can come back to stillness, and then we'll press the palms forward as you round the spine back. Inhale to reach the arms up overhead, looking up, and then turn to the left. You can release your hands down, bringing your right hand onto your left knee and planting your left hand behind you, sending the gaze behind your left shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here. And then on the next exhale, allow your chin to trace the front of your chest, and you can turn just your gaze past your right shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here, and then we'll meet back in center. This time, interlace your fingers the opposite way, and that's going to be the awkward way, and you can start to do a few figure eights. You might notice this time around, wow, there's a lot less snap, crackle, pop. At least there is in my wrists. That's because we're lubricating the joints. Then reverse the direction of your figure eights. And then we'll come back to stillness, and you can reach the palms forward as you round the spine back, pressing forward and back. And then inhale to lift through center. Exhale, we'll turn to the right this time. Release your left hand down onto your right knee. Plant your right hand behind you, and you can turn your gaze over your right shoulder. With each inhale, grow the spine taller, and you can send the gaze a little further back. And then with your next exhale, allow the chin to gently trace the front of the chest, and you can turn the gaze behind your left shoulder. We'll take one more nice deep breath here, and then inhale to come back to center. Let's come back onto hands and knees now. So you can plant your palms underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And if this is hard on the wrists, you can also come up onto fists, or you could even come down onto your forearms. We're going to take a few rounds of cat and cow. So go ahead and inhale to drop the belly for cow pose. Exhale to round into the spine for cat. You can take a few rounds at your own pace. And after a few rounds of cat and cow, you might begin to explore some other movements, maybe drawing a nice big circle with the belly button. Starting to develop some awe and wonder at the design of your spine and all the different movements it can make. Once you've been drawing a circle in one direction, you can go ahead and reverse the direction. And we'll come back to center when you're ready. And you can draw the belly towards the spine and then go ahead and peek over your right shoulder, bending your right hip towards your right shoulder. Inhale to come back to center, and then we'll wag the tail to the other side, bending the gaze behind the behind the left shoulder. You can bring the left hip towards the shoulder. Go ahead and take one more round on each side. And then we'll meet back in center, and you can bring the big toes to touch, open the knees wide, sink the hips back, and walk the hands out in front to find a child's pose, allowing your forehead to gently rest on your mat. Or if you prefer, you could always stack your palms to make a little pillow to rest your forehead. Take a nice deep breath in your child's pose. And then when you're ready, we'll come back up into hands and knees. And you can leave your knees a little wide like child's pose. And then you'll bring your right fingertips right behind your right ear. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and lift your elbow up towards the sky and look up. And then exhale, we'll rotate the elbow down towards the left wrist. Inhale to lift the elbow up towards the sky. Exhale, rotate it down towards the wrist. Inhale to lift the elbow up. Exhale to rotate it down. And then this time we'll sweep the right arm up towards the sky, and then exhale, you can come into thread the needle. So bringing the right hand underneath the left, you can fall onto the right shoulder and allow the right temple to rest on the mat. You can continue to support your weight with your left hand, or if you like, you could walk the fingertips out in front like child's pose. Or maybe spin the hand around and allow the back of the palm to rest at the low back. Find whatever works best for you. And then we'll take one more nice deep breath and thread the needle. You can plant the left palm back underneath the left shoulder and then press into the earth as you inhale to lift the right arm back up towards the sky. And we'll exhale to release that side. Let's bring the left fingertips right now, right next to the left ear, and then inhale to open the left elbow up towards the sky. Exhale to pivot the elbow down towards the right wrist. Inhale to open. Exhale to release. One more time. Inhale to open it up. And exhale, bring the elbow down to the wrist. This time we'll slide that left arm all the way up, reaching the fingertips up towards the sky. And then exhale, weave that hand underneath the right hand and come onto the left shoulder for thread the needle. You can allow the temple to rest here. You might continue to support yourself with your right hand or walk the right fingertips out in front. like child's pose, or maybe you want to sweep that hand around and allow it to rest at your low back, the right hand that is. Take some nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, we'll bring that right hand down underneath your elbow or underneath your shoulder, and then press into the mat as you inhale to open up through the left side. On the next exhale, you can bring the hand back down, and then we'll walk it back into a tabletop position. We're gonna come into downward facing dog next. So you can tuck the toes under and gently lift the knees as you extend the hips up and back. And you might walk out your dog, pedaling your heels a little bit side to side towards the mat. Whenever you're ready, we'll walk it up to a forward fold. So you can walk your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet. And then go ahead and wrap your hands around your opposite elbows as you gently ragdoll from side to side. You could shake your head no, and nod your head yes. And then we'll release the hands back down towards the mat. You can slide the palms onto the shins right below the knees or above the knees, and then press into your shins as you lengthen your spine, reaching the crown of your head forward. Exhale to forward fold, and then gently bend into the knees as you roll your spine up one vertebrae at a time. Once you arrive at standing, we'll inhale to reach the arms up and overhead, and exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. Inhale to reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. And one more time like this. From here, we'll come into mountain pose. So you can extend your arms next to your sides, walk to the front of your mat, and then we'll bring the hands to the hips. And let's go ahead and extend the right foot back. And you can either stay on the ball of your toes for a little more balance here, or you can lower your heel down. So it's either going to be crescent moon or warrior one. And you can bend into that front knee. Allow the heart to lift, and then you might extend the arms up towards the sky, lifting the heart and lifting the gaze. Take a nice deep breath here, and on your next exhale, we'll fly the hands back as you reach the torso forward into a victory stance. Inhale to rise up to warrior one, and exhale, float it forward. Inhale back to warrior one, and exhale, float it forward one more time. And then we'll inhale to come back to warrior one. We're going to get ready for humble warrior. So you can float the hands behind you, and you might interlace them at the low back, or you can grasp hold of the edge of your t-shirt if you need a little bit more space, or you could even grasp hold of opposite elbows. Whenever you're ready, on your next exhale, you can bow your head and your heart down towards the ground, resting your torso on your thigh for humble warrior. Relaxing the effort from your top half as you rest humbly here. You can always keep your hands resting at your low back, or you can straighten your arms and allow your knuckles to float overhead. Take one more nice deep breath here. And on your next exhale, you can bring your hands back to your low back. And then we'll bring our hands onto our hips and rise back to center. Inhale for another warrior one. On your next exhale, you can draw your hands to your heart center and then either step or hop your foot back up to standing mountain pose. We'll bring our hands to our sides. And then on your next inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then it's your choice if you want to come into either downward facing dog. You can plant your palms, step your feet back, and either find downward dog or child's pose. If you'd like to build a little heat from downward dog, you might inhale to come forward to a plank. And maybe you lower down onto your belly. You can come onto your knees first too. Plant your palms underneath your shoulders, untuck your toes, and lift your heart for baby cobra. On your next exhale, we'll tuck the toes under and you can press up through table or plank and find downward facing dog. And then you can walk your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet and come into your forward fold. We'll inhale for halfway lift, pressing the palms against the shins. Exhale to forward fold. And then inhale, sweeping the hands up and coming up to your mountain pose. Let's inhale to sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. Inhale to sweep the hands up and exhale to draw them to the heart center. You can release your hands to your sides and we'll make our way again to the top of your mat if you're not there already. You can bring your hands to your hips and we're gonna try that same warrior one sequence on the left side. So we're gonna slide that left foot back and you can either stay in a crescent moon or land the back heel, bringing the toes to 45 degrees, bending into the front knee, and then you can inhale to sweep your arms up overhead for warrior one. Take a nice deep breath here, sending the gaze up, allowing the shoulders to gently melt away from the ears. On your next exhale, you can swim the hands behind you as you float the torso forward. Inhale to rise to warrior one. And two more times, just like this, following the pace of your own breath. Whenever you're ready, we'll meet back up in our warrior one. And then you can bring the hands behind you. And this time, try to interlace them the opposite way. So maybe the awkward way, just challenging some of our habitual patterns. And then with your next exhale, you can float your torso down, bowing your head to come into humble warrior, maybe floating your hands up overhead. We have a little incident maybe happening. Well, let's hope they can calm down over there. Whenever you're ready, you can rest your hands at your low back. We'll inhale to rise to center and then return to warrior one. On your next exhale, you can bring your hands to your heart center and we'll lean forward to step back up into mountain pose. You can release your hands to your sides. And then we're gonna walk the feet as wide as the mat. So your toes might be slightly off of the mat and your heels are on the mat. And then from here, you can bring your hands onto your hips or at your heart center and begin to sink down into a squat. So we're gonna come into a yogi squat. You can always stop here at like an umpire squat, or you might even bring your hands down to the mat and allow your hips to settle, coming into a deep squat, whatever works best for you. And then from here, you can either rest your hands at your heart center, or you might float your right hand out and then reach your left hand up to come into a twist. Inhale to bring the hands back to the heart center, and then exhale, reach the left arm out and the right hand up. And if that felt good, you can try that one more time on each side. And then we'll come back to center. Go ahead and plant your palms on your mat. And you can lift your hips to come back into a forward fold. We'll walk the feet back to come into downward facing dog. And then on your next inhale, you can come forward to a plank. You're welcome to lower onto your knees. And then we'll lower down onto the belly. This time you can bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, press your palms onto your mat, and then start to glide the heart forward as you traction the hands back. This is called Sphinx Pose. You might feel a nice, gentle back bend. Maybe it feels good to inhale, roll the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale, allow them to cascade down the back. And then when you're ready, we're gonna find crocodile pose. So you can stack your palms and lower your forehead down onto your mat. Or sorry, onto the back of your hands. Take a nice deep breath. Here, filling the back of the body. And then when you're ready, we'll turn the gaze over to the right. And you can slide your hands behind you with the palms facing up. Maybe you can allow that left temple to rest on the mat, or if it doesn't quite reach, you can always tuck your toes under and gently glide your body a little further forward. So you're pressing yourself forward to make a little more space for your left temple to maybe reach the mat. Allow yourself to relax all effort. And then with your next inhale, we'll turn the gaze back to center and you can float the hands up and lift the feet, coming into a flying superhero position, Locust Pose. On the next exhale, you can turn your gaze to the left and allow the right temple to rest on the mat. Take a moment to delight in this time of rest. And then we'll come in for one more locust pose. So you can bring your gaze back to center, bring the gaze to the front edge of your mat, lift your arms, lift your legs, and maybe you find a few breaths of swimming your arms forward, and then exhale to swim them back. Inhale to swim them forward, and exhale to swim them back. And one more time like this. And this time, when your hands come back, you can turn your gaze once more to the right, relaxing all of your effort. Allow your body to rest heavy on the mat. And then we'll bring the palms back forward. And this time you're going to bring the left palm so it's parallel to the front of your mat. You can press into the mat to lift the chest and then bend the right foot. And you might reach around to grasp hold of the top of the foot with your right hand. This feels good for a quad stretch here. And if it doesn't quite reach, you can always just reach for it or find any place that might feel good. This is like a half bow pose. On your next exhale, we'll release that side. You can bring your left, or no, this is your right arm parallel to the front of your mat. Allow yourself to press up, and then you can bend into the left foot. And it's okay if you can't reach it, but you could reach around to try to grasp hold of the top of the foot or the ankle, finding a quad stretch here. And whenever you're ready, you can release that side. We'll plant the palms underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes under, and press up through table or plank. And then find either downward facing dog or child's pose, whichever would work best for you and your body today. Take a few nice deep breaths. And then whenever you're ready, we'll meet up in a forward fold. You can inhale here for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then inhale, bend the knees, sweep the hands up and overhead. And then exhale, we'll draw the hands to the heart center. We're gonna take a moment in our balancing pose. So the balancing pose we're gonna try today is dancer. And if you think you want a little bit of support, you could always find a tree and, get close to the tree, leaning close there. So you can come into your mountain pose. And then we're gonna start to bring the hands to the hips. And then you can sweep your left arm open. So it's almost like you have a platter in your hand. And then you're gonna bring your weight into your right leg. You can just come onto the ball of your left foot. You could even stay here, exploring balance here, or you might kick your left foot into your left hand. And I'm grabbing on the inside of my arch. And you could stay here just exploring balance. You might have a little wobble, finding a place right off of the edge of your mat that's a fixed place. A dristi can help with balance. And if you want to extend this a little further, you might lift your right hand up towards the sky. And then just like a tea kettle, you're going to tip it forward and back, kicking your foot into your hand, extending your right hand forward. So just take a moment to play around with dancer, noticing how balance is a dance, not a fixed place. So we want to be just wherever you are today. You can even maybe bring this into just a quad stretch. Just bring your foot into your hand and balance here. Whenever you're ready, you can release your foot and we'll walk the feet a little wider than hips distance and then just shake it off. Allow your arms to graze your sides. You might feel the massage of your arms pressing against gently your kidneys and your adrenals. Maybe bring the swing up a little higher. And then we'll come back to center. Ooh, you get a little dizzy. Find your balance again. And then we're going to find dancer on the second side. So if you have lumps underneath your feet, you might find a nice comfortable place. You can bring both hands to your hips. And then like you're serving from a platter, you can bring your right hand out with your elbow coming against your body. And then send the weight into your left foot. Maybe just lift your right heel off of the mat. You might play around with kicking your foot into your hand. And I like to grab my foot on the inside, so where the arch is. You can stay here, just playing around, stability, finding that place of focus, a soft, gentle focus. Maybe you extend the left arm up overhead. And then if you're ready, you could try tipping yourself forward as you kick your foot back. It's okay to fall out and come back, just playing around. And then whenever you're ready, you can step your feet wide and once more, shake it off. Maybe you even pretend that you have a bucket of water. You start to toss it over your shoulders. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. And you can start to just maybe close down the eyes or soften the gaze. Bring the palms facing forward for mountain pose. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward. Inhale here for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. You can plant your palms and step your feet back to find downward facing dog. And then I'm going to offer pigeon today to stretch through the hips. So you can bring your right knee right next to your right wrist and kind of shimmy your right foot over towards the left. And then you can extend your left leg back, untuck the toes, and you might start out on your fists in an upright pigeon. And then whenever you're ready, you can start to melt your heart forward. And then you can bring your fists to stack and make a little pillow to rest your forehead. Now, if pigeon is not comfortable for whatever reason, that's okay. You can always try a different pose coming onto your back into figure 4. So you just slide onto your back. You could bring the right ankle on top of the left knee or thigh, and then maybe you draw the shape in towards the chest. So find whichever version suits you today and just realize it can be different from day to day, year to year. Just start to tune into your breath and tune into any sensations that are arising in the body. For some people, pigeon is their favorite pose, and for others, it's not for them. So that's okay. Everybody's different. Every body is different, right? And whenever you're ready to come out of pigeon, you can plant your palms and then press yourself back up into a downward facing dog if you'd like to get ready for the other side. And you're always welcome to explore any other shapes. Then we'll draw the left knee towards the left wrist Extend the right leg back, untuck the toes, straighten through the leg, and you can come up onto fists to start in an upright pigeon shape. And then whenever you're ready, you can allow your heart to melt forward, and you might bring these fists to stack and make a pillow to rest your forehead. And if pigeon is not where it's at for you today, feel free to explore figure 4 pose instead on your back. Sending breath to any areas of the body that have sensation. And we'll take one more nice deep breath in your pigeon pose. And then whenever you're ready, you can roll onto your left hip, and we'll swing the right leg around and bring both of the feet to touch, soles of the feet to touch. You can bring your hands onto your shins, extend your spine nice and tall. And then on your next exhale, you can gently begin to bring your spine long and melt your heart a little forward. You can always walk your hands out in front. Maybe you allow yourself to bow forward, rounding into the spine. And then when you're ready, we'll walk the hands back in, press yourself up tall. You can bring your hands to the sides of your knees and bring them back to center. And then with your knees out in front and your feet out in front, you can extend your arms, and then we'll start to gently and slowly roll onto the back. You can draw your knees into your chest, give yourself a nice big hug, sending yourself lots of gratitude for being here today. And then we'll be getting ready for our final resting pose, Shavasana. So make your way to any final resting shape that would feel good to you. You can extend your legs long, allow your arms to rest at your sides. And if there were any last poses that you felt you wanted to explore before your final rest, you're welcome to do those now. Happy baby pose looks nice. And as you begin to settle in for your final rest, I'll just offer a little more from the book by Deborah Adele, The Yamas and the Niyamas, about Svadhyaya, self-study. The Buddhists say that the universe dies when you do, because you have created your own little world of reality. As you begin to steadfastly pay attention to what you are saying to yourself about the moment, the other person, yourself, and life, you will get clues about the boxes you have wrapped yourself in that create your own little universe. All of these utterances and projections of the parts of yourself you love, don't love, can't see, or can't accept. Engaging curiosity and a beginner's mind, knowing that we don't know, helps us step outside of our neatly wrapped boxes. As we shift our attention to the God self within, the boxes of belief systems begin to fall away and we become free. You can allow yourself to rest here, feeling the earth rise to support you, feeling the hug of gravity as you relax any extra effort. Allow yourself to soften, maybe relaxing any holding from the eyelids, relaxing the jaw. If you find any thoughts start to come into the mind, you might just allow them to pass by like drifting clouds. You can begin to deepen your breath. And allow each inhale to grow your heart center in all directions, increasing your capacity to give and receive love from your heart. And then go ahead and start to invite a little bit of movement, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, gently rotating the wrists and the ankles. And you might find a long body stretch, inhaling to reach the arms up past the ears. And then when you're ready, you can roll onto one side, finding a fetal position. And feel free to rest there with your head on your biceps for 2 more rounds of breath. Whenever you're ready, you can gently press yourself up into a seat. And you can bring your hands to meet at your heart center. Allow your head to bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. Thanks everyone so much for being here today. Namaste. Let me say goodbye to my Zoom crowd here.